All right. Hello, everybody. We'll start over again. So my name is John Levesque, and it'll be my pleasure to walk you through the Law software and the client bridge. Miroslav has told me that our time is limited, and so what I'm going to do is try to rush through the main areas of case management that are available in Law, and then the client bridge to give you a preview of that. But just so that you're aware, there is a formal training for administrators and for staff that we provide free of charge, and each one is about 90 minutes. I'm going to take a moment and just write you guys on Skype just to see if you guys are on. Okay. Okay, I'm going to help Alan. Okay, so because this is a broadcast, it's recorded. And by the way, if anybody had to close out the session or rejoin, this is going to be just like YouTube. You can even fast forward, so you can jump ahead. But here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the screen share. At any time, if you guys have questions, you can go ahead and write them in the chat, and I'll take time to respond to them and even put some time in at the end. But some people are able to see the video now, and I know others of you are just refreshing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so we'll begin with a view of Law. So quick note on Law. We are essentially a Google application, and so we integrate seamlessly with services like Calendar and Drive. And I can speak more to that and also the benefits, but also some good security measures, additional policies and things that you can do in your organization. Okay, I want to zoom in. Once you're in the software, you're going to be brought to the contact area. And initially, it's going to be very bare. We try not to call up any information until it's actually needed. At the top, you're going to have some controls. You're going to have some widgets for tasks and notifications, just some conveniences. And then on the left, you're going to have a menu system. These are all of the different sections that are available to you in Lolly. And depending on your role and your permissions, what you see here will change. But for the most part, you'll have contacts, matters, and schedule. Next to the menu will be a type to search area. And this is how you can pull up individual records for both contacts and clients, as well as matters and other types of records. And while we're in the contact area in the search box, I'll just mention that you'll be able to find contacts based on their first name, last name, alien number, or a custom search tag of your choice. To the right of that is the action menu. And you'll see this all over the software. If you have any question about what can you do, in a particular section, you can check the action menu, and the items underneath it will let you know what's possible. So this isn't going to be a full training, but this will just be a view into case management and then the client bridge. So let me pull up a contact. So the software is pretty quick and responsive. It's going to pull up information in blocks of group data, and all of this is customizable. But some things that will remain consistent will be things like what consultations the person has had and what cases they may be involved in, as well as a window into a Google Drive file area. You know, I can cover this in more depth, but once you have a contact in the system, you can attach them to a matter and open up a case. So as far as how our system works, we separate collection of data about the client and the collection of data about the case and the work that's going to be done. And we link them by saying who the participants are. So a case will have parties involved, and that's how we pull in individuals or organizations and keep their data together. The nice thing about this is you can have a person involved in multiple cases at the same time or over a history, and any information you enter in about them, whether it's in their contact record or in the matter, maybe in a form or an intake, it's going to be saved to the person and will follow them. So you may enter it into a form on one case, but maybe years later they might have another contract with you, and whatever value you had entered before, it's going to be there. You'll be able to track things like calendar events, court hearings. You'll be able to run reports on what's upcoming. And by the way, I have taken a little bit of time with Miroslav, and he's been through the demo as well and the training, not the training, the trial. So he can give you a firsthand experience of what this is like. But I'm just going to run through the pages here and then show you the client bridge. So you'll be able to construct your own workflows for the cases that you do. And so then they become boilerplate. So if you typically do an adjustment of status and you have your own process, it's very easy to set that up and then stamp that out every time you need to open up an adjustment of status case. So that will include your tasks and milestones, due dates and assignments, as well as what forms will get loaded into the matter. Now, these are just defaults. You can, at any time, add additional forms or even add duplicate ones in case you needed more than one I-130 or G28 in a matter. Very easy to do so. And the software will help enter the information and then produce the PDF, as well as any addendums that are needed. There's many other features, many conveniences that we've put into the software. I'll save those hopefully for another time where we can go into more depth. But what I was told was to bring over the client bridge. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to show you the starting point and kind of lay the scene. Let's imagine that you have somebody who's come in, you've gotten their basic information and you added their record to the system, and let's say they sign a contract and they're a client, you've opened up a case. You can go to the action menu and hit Enable Client Bridge. And what this will do is this will bring up a form where you can put in the the email address of the client, and it will send them an invitation. The invitation will look like this. It will say, it'll be branded with your firm, and it will say, hello, the sender from, and it'll have your law firm name, has invited you to the client bridge, and then there'll be a button for them to click. Oh, that's right. So this is live broadcast, so you can hear me. So the question is, can we organize the matter based off of the US citizen? And the answer is yes. If you'd like, I can switch over and show you how we organize that. So what I'll So here's what we do. We have information about contacts, and when you are creating a contact, in fact, I'm going to, since the question came up, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to go through the process of adding a contact. So to add a contact, we would first indicate whether this is going to be for a person or an organization. This is what we have in the system right now, and this will be expanding to include other types of contacts, such as company representatives and others. But for now, and most generally, people put in a person, but you can put in an organization, okay? And that organization could be the company, the employer, the sponsor, and if you select organization, there'll be some follow-up fields to fill out. We try to make this very easy and quick to generate the record. And there'll be another section where you can put in more information, but this is just a quick way to add them. If you were to select a person, the fields that you need are going to be a little bit different. I would say that at least you need a first name and last name, but if you happen to have their date of birth or alien number at this time, go ahead and enter it in, it's helpful, or the custom search tag. Let me go ahead and put in one. I'm just going to create a brand new contact. Once they're in, the software is going to bring you to an area that you can put more in-depth demographic information. And on the left, we have a number of default categories that we've created. And I've mentioned this to Miroslav, but all of this is customizable. So if you prefer to have your own type of questionnaires or the order in which you want this information to be displayed, all of that can be done. You also aren't required to fill all of this in right now. If I were, say, a legal secretary and somebody is, in front of me wanting to get into the process and schedule a consultation, perhaps I just want to put in their name and phone number and do the rest later. You can. okay? So this is here for you whenever you need it, but I'm going to hit back. Here is the record that we just created for Johnny Appleseed. Very bare, but you'll see there's blocks of information. You can do what's called a quick edit and just change the things that are visible on the main page. And by the way, these groupings or blocks of information are also customizable if you so choose and want something differently displayed. We are working on some updates where you'll be able to rearrange these and select predefined groups of information based off of your needs. And we're getting feedback from a variety of different practitioners from around the country, including some business immigration attorneys as well. Yes, so that's so a potential client as opposed to a client. So we call these contacts because at this time, there's no designation of whether or not they've actually signed a contract. And we don't want that to be a block for you to at least begin the collection of data. So let's say you add them to the system. They might just be scheduling for a consultation. Maybe you know, they've provided their name and phone number. And they want to meet with the attorney maybe near the end of the month. You can do that. And then down the road, or maybe when they come in for the consultation, they might take the time to provide the rest, and then that can be entered into the system. Or they could be given access to the client bridge and enter it themselves. But even now, even if they've got a consultation scheduled, or let's say the schedulation was performed by the attorney, they might still not be a client. Perhaps there was no relief that could be found at that time. It's still good to have their information in the system. You know what they came in for. You've got a record of the consult. Maybe several months later, there might be some change in the law, or something might occur where there is something that can be done. Well, when you bring them back in and then say you open up the case, all of their information is still retained. So you don't have to re-enter anything, and it's you know, keeps things moving. When opening up a matter, there'll be some fields you'll need to fill out. You'll need to put in an ID for the case. You can put in whatever you'd like, a descriptive title, additional search tags, and then the case type, which is what I was describing before, how you can apply your own boilerplate of your workflow and forms, what things you want loaded into the matter, so that you don't start off with something that's bare. Yes, and down below in parties involved, this is where you can add other contacts, including organizations. So there's and there's other details and nuances to this, but the basic idea is we want to make it very quick to do things in the system and move around and try to help collect good data. And for example, we're in the matter record, and let's say you know, I've got a question about Johnny Appleseed. I don't have to navigate away and search for him. I can click on his name and bring up his record. If I want to see his consultation, I can click on it and go back. If I want to go back to the matter, I click on it and go. So the whole software is made very fluid. Once you get into a record, all of the related records are a click away. So if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to switch over to the client bridge, just give you an idea of that. And then I'll open it up to just general questions, and we'll go from there. So once somebody has been invited to the bridge, they're going to get an email They'll confirm their account, and they'll be taken to this landing page. I'll zoom in a little bit, but the landing page is intended to be branded. So your firm will have its own logo here and its name. So we don't. We want you to be the presence, right? If your client is coming to your bridge, they want to see your name, and this should be your application. So that's the idea. They'll sign in, and they'll be brought to a very, very fluid layout with some basic information. This is a responsive layout, and what I mean by that is, it'll adjust to fit their screen, so it'll work on a variety of devices. You'll have your firm logo and name, it's branded, and there'll be an area where you can give them intakes to fill out. Now, the stuff that I have here is not indicative of what would go there by default. I've just thrown some stuff in there, but we have a set of small questionnaires, but you can also make your own. And I'm going to show you what it looks like from the client's perspective. Let's say they get one. This is what it will be like for them to fill out information. Okay, it's very clean. They can tab through things. They can easily see where they are. And again, it'll adjust to fit their screen size. When they think that it's done and they're ready, they can hit submit to the attorney, and it'll prompt them to say, "Are you, verify that I'm submitting this and it is accurate to my best of knowledge." And then the attorney will get a notification on their side in Lolly, and they can go in and review it and decide to accept it. We want to have that validation point so that the attorney doesn't get, bad information, but they can verify it and that they can say it's complete. And once the attorney accepts it, it's locked down. The client will no longer be able to edit it. They can view it, but they won't edit it. And so that at least gives you some reassurance that you can move on with the process and not worry about the client changing data after the fact. There'll also be a file area where they can drag and drop files to share with you or receive files from you. And it's just a convenient way to organize things centrally and not have to go digging through email all the time to find attachments. So a word on this, we don't actually store any of your files, and we're also not a pass-through. So this is your Google Drive, and all Lolly does is whenever you create a contact or open up a new matter, Lolly simply reaches out for you and creates folders and names them and organizes them. So for instance, I'm going to switch back to the Lolly view here, just for illustration purposes. So let's say I'm on Johnny Appleseed's page. This attached files block is a window into Google Drive. I can drag and drop files, and I'm going to go ahead and do that so that you can see one. Okay, so now I've just uploaded a file, and here it is. And if you wanted to know, okay, and by the way, most people use stuff like this for, a copy of their birth certificate, driver's license, any documents they've given, whatnot. Well, if you pull up the record, you're immediately going to see what documents are attached to it, and they're clickable. So I can click on this, and it's going to immediately pull up the file. Same thing works for Word documents, Excel documents, and PDFs. And that's nice and it's convenient, but this is also just bare minimum features. If you wanted to do more, there's a button, Jump to Google Drive. This takes you to Google Drive and brings you right to the folder. So you don't have to go, searching through it down a directory or anything like that. here we are. We're at Johnny Appleseed's folder, and we can see what's there. In Google Drive, there's many more features and a lot more you can do, and I'll save that for another time. But this is the same idea. So once you activate the client bridge, Lolly will create a folder that's shared between the client and your team, and that's it. So the client's not going to be able to see other things in your Google Drive. They're not going to be able to see anything outside of this folder. Okay. So so the question is the document storage secure? So the answer is yes, and here's how it works. On the client side, meaning like at your computer, we force encryption. So it's HTTPS using the highest grade certificate. So that means that while you're sending or receiving information, it's encrypted. When it's stored in our database, it's encrypted as well. And with the files with Google Drive, as of last year, all documents or storage is encrypted at rest. So that means it's encrypted there as well. But something that I include in my trainings at the very beginning with users is I talk about that type of security and then the types of good policy that goes along with it. Because it's secure in that encryption is occurring, but your username and password also needs to be protected. So there's things like two-stage authentication that you can set up. And also it's just good policy to have where if somebody forgets their password or thinks that something's going on, that they know what to do. They need to go to the IT person to have it reset, stuff like that. Not a problem. I take, and later on we can have a more formal discussion in training, but yeah, security is very, very important to us. So we do take a lot of time to explain that to people and show them good practices. Nobody should be opening up this software at their local Starbucks. Even if it's secure, you don't know who's looking over your shoulder, and this is sensitive client information. So, all right. So in addition to, and the intakes that I was showing here on the side, let's say that the client took time and filled them out and submitted them. What that means then is that all of this information, it will be in Lolly. And Lolly will use it in the matter and in tracking of the case progress and in filling out forms. So that when you say, open up a form that asks for their birth date and their dependents information, if they filled it out, it'll automatically be there on the form for you. Conversely, if they didn't fill it out or they made an error, maybe like a spelling error, and you corrected it, that would save to the system. And so it would even backfill here if they looked at it again. Down at the bottom, they're going to see what cases they're involved in. Currently, I haven't enabled much, so they'll see the name of the case, the balance, and its status. But there's other things that they can see, and we're adding what we call data visualization. So that's coming. So there's going to be some nice charts and graphs and other things. But again, it's it's also going to depend on who it is. Some HR reps or corporate reps that are going to be using the client bridge are going to have a completely different view. Let's say that this is the foreign national who's accessing the client bridge. They're going to open up their case. They're going to get some basic stats at the top. They're going to see a messaging area. This isn't going to replace email, but we wanted to have something that's really convenient that if they're logged into the client bridge and they've got a question, they don't have to leave to post it. They can submit this and the team members on the case will see the message and can respond. There'll also be a checklist. So you can have a client checklist loaded in by default, depending on the case type, or you could write in new things for the client to do. And they could come in and mark them done, and you'll be able to track progress on that. They'll be able to see what team members are assigned to their case, and there'll be a way to just click a button and email them or click to call them. And in this test account, I guess I don't have a phone number specified, but yeah, they're on a device that's like a phone, they could click and it'll call. And then, oh, by the way, I don't know how you guys feel about that. If you don't want it, I'll disable it. But the other is receipt numbers. Let's say you have a couple receipt numbers and you've entered them into the matter. The client will see them here, and there'll be clickable links so that it'll open up the USCIS system and give them immediate dashboard status. Yes. So the notifications. Yes. So let me show you that notification area. So up at the top here, this is where you're going to get. This is where the system is going to push notifications to you. I wish I hadn't cleared them out earlier, but oh, okay. So here are some recent ones that I've had, even as recently as like today. There'll be like a little red badge that'll be pushed to the bell, so you'll know when something needs to be read. But you'll also get notifications of client bridge activity this way. So if they fill out one of the intake questionnaires and submit it to you, you'll get a notification. Yeah, there's so Lolly and the client bridge, they look very different, but there are some subsystems that kind of integrate, and one of those is the notification system. So it goes back and forth. So the client bridge is very new. It's been out for about a month and a half, and we've been very busy setting it up for certain clients. And we're getting great feedback. We have during the beta, and now that it's going out to a wider audience, we got a lot of ideas coming our way. And so expect to see more things being added to this very shortly. But the other thing is that we're trying to make this simple enough, or I don't want to be, we're trying to make this something that's appealing and something that's not intimidating, so that somebody can go and log in and feel comfortable finding information and using it, and do so pretty quickly without having to read a big manual or get certified on using the software. So absolutely, you can set a case manager and you can run reports. And Miroslav has access to the trial account, and I told him that he's more than welcome to invite other people so that you can share in that trial account and see what it's like with multiple users. But let me show you with a case that I've done. Okay, now it's not a good one. Let's do probably that one. Okay, so here's one where I'm right now the only team member on this. The first person listed on the team members is going to be treated as the managing attorney. He's going to be treated as the case manager. And I can add other people. And what this does is, if I were to go to the, there's a report called the caseload report. And if I filtered it by a particular person, it would show me all the cases that they're assigned to. And it would also show me the progress of those cases. And so I'll show you. I'll go over to reports. And let's see where it is. Oh, very first one. Okay. So I'll come over to the case roster and let me see all of my cases. So these are a list of all of the cases that I'm currently assigned to. I can see the status, when it was opened, like how old it is, what type of case it is, as well as bill type and who is the lead, who's the case manager for it. we also try to have an attitude of your data is yours all the time. And so in addition to, the file area being your Google Drive, which you can access, from your mobile phone without even logging into Lolly. Also, anytime you pull up information, you can export it. You can export it to Excel. You can do bulk exports. Let's see here. What's another thing? Oh, and by the way, here's a report that, let's say you're doing, it's the attorney meeting with the paralegal, and you're doing a case review. You look at the report, you see some stuff, maybe something's flagged here, and you're like, that seems odd. What's going on? It's a click away. So you don't have to move, your cursor, go to a separate area, and then type for the case and try to find it. It's just click and go. Other things, let's see. I like the fun stuff. I mean, we do have a great billing system. I don't know if that's of interest to you, but for time tracking, it's also very good just for business intelligence, even for flat fee cases, but it's not an obligation. You don't have to use it. Oh yeah, you'll have data visualizations like this, and over time you might see some interesting things that come up. Maybe consultations will be a leading indicator for cases. Maybe you'll see certain rainmakers, I don't know. A breakout of case types. Then there was something I thought, oh yeah. I'm just going to take a quick moment to show you time tracking, but then I'm going to wrap it up and just see if you have any questions and maybe set up another time if you're so inclined. Time tracking, very easy to do. One way is to use this convenient timer widget we have at the top. This allows you to set the timer and then keep working in the software, do what you need to do, and not have something like a form on screen. And if you're like me, having a ticker constantly in front of you might not be appealing. So I had that added so it could be hidden, but you still know it's running because it's pulsing green. And let's say you're done with your activity, you can submit it and enter in your time. If you happen to pick up the phone and you're talking and then you realize you're already 2 minutes in, it's very easy to set a time and start it from that point. And then filling out time is quick. So this is the form, and Lolly will attempt to fill out as much information as it can so that it's just ready to be submitted. But of course, you can edit all of these. You can change the title, what you want this time entry to be called. You can set what type it is, its start and end time, and its duration. And let's say I actually started at 2:22. Actually, I'm going to do something bigger. All right, let's say I started at 2:12, ended at 2:32. That's really exact time. You can do it that way, but then you can also come over here and just say, I was gone for a couple minutes as well. So now you have exact time, less time away. You can also just put in units. Say, forget the start and end time. Let the software figure that out, and just say, I know that I worked 2 units. And then if you're going to charge this, it's going to calculate the equivalent dollar value based off of the duration and your user's hourly rate. Okay, and there's many other things, and it's pretty cool. But I'm going to just slow down and turn it over to questions for you guys at this point. Yes, you can set case reminders. So let me find a case that has a good example of that. QN. Okay. So part of the I'm going to call it the case type or your workflow is you're going to be able to set what you want done when, and then even assign it to people. And so then there's some measure of accountability. And once it's assigned, you'll be able to track its completion, and so will the person it's assigned to. And they'll receive a notification when they get it. And then you'll be able to flag things as milestones and track progress that way too. By the way, you know, I'd be happy to set up a time later if you wanted, and we could run through like a standard training if that would be beneficial. But I'll leave that up to you guys. Yes, and you can change the status of the case, and you would do that by going to the action menu and saying edit matter, and this is where you can do it. Currently, it's either open, pending, or closed. But I know that there's other designations, and we're getting that feedback, and so there may be some updates to that, particularly for when it comes to the reporting for HR or corporate clients. Once the US, for forms, you can change the data at any time, and it's very easy to create new forms. But once you create the PDF is a file, and you can edit the PDF directly. I think, does that answer the question? PDF, once USCS forms are created, can we make changes to it? Yes. Yes. You want, does generate, yes. So let me show you the forms area. So the forms area, you're going to be able to see what type of form it is. And I'll zoom in. What type of form it is, the progress that's been made on it. Maybe it's only been partially completed. The version, and then who the subjects of the form are. Let's go ahead and do a simple one. I'm just going to pop into this I-130. And actually, you know what? I'm going to add a brand new one. So I've just added a new I-130. Nothing's been done on it, and also nobody has been marked as a subject. Okay, so I know this is brand new. So I'm going to open it up. Now it takes me to a different area, and it's very bare because the first thing that needs to happen is at the top, we need to select who the subjects are for the form. So the I-130 is going to have a section for the petitioner. So let's say that it's going to be Ned Stark, and the beneficiary, let's say it'll be Arya Stark. And the attorney, it defaults to me because I was listed first on the team list. So it's going to assume that it's me, but I can select somebody else. Okay, so right there, we've selected those people, and if we had filled out some information about them, their names and addresses and such, then there's information that can be printed to the form. Some firms want to get the document out as quickly as possible, and so they may put in the time to put in the contact's demographic information, and then they can come over here to print preview or save to Google Drive and produce the PDF. And what Lolly will do is take your values and populate them on the PDF, and if certain values don't fit on the fields, it'll automatically create addendums that will be in the form of Word documents. But there are other firms that want to be more thorough, and sometimes they want to answer every single question in the software and then produce the PDF. And we allow that too. So there's other sections here on the left, and you can pull them up, and they're going to look just like the same forms that you saw on the client bridge. And in fact, these match up. If there's a field in here that's on the client bridge or vice versa, they link. So this is for the petitioner, and the petitioner that we selected is Ned Stark. So if I come over here and I change this, citizenship was acquired through birth in the US, well, now that's been saved to not only the form, but Ned Stark as well. Also, you may have noticed that depending on what I selected here, some additional questions appeared and disappeared. So there's, there's conditional paths as well. Now, something I'll cover in training are PDFs in general, but let me show you here. So it downloaded as a zip file because I wanted to preview the PDF, but it produced an addendum as well. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay. And I was going to say, part of the training is about setup of the computers. You're going to need to install Adobe Reader or Adobe Acrobat. And the reason why is because with the updates that USCIS has been making, particularly the new ones with barcodes, those will only render in an Adobe product. And so there's some things that we can help notify. Oh, I missed the first question. Yes, so we have, yes, absolutely. So we monitor the announcements. We are on the listserv. We monitor the website. And we also have very considerate attorneys such as yourself who also notify us to make sure that we know. And so we're very quick to get alerted, and we schedule all of the updates. How it works is this, is when USCIS produces an updated form, we go into the software and we build the new form and make it available for you. And then we go and set all of the old forms to expired. And the reason we do that is because we want to make it very clear that the form that you might have loaded into a matter is expired, but we don't go and delete it. All right. We just don't want to delete any information or put it away from your view. And in fact, a few attorneys have told us on occasion that when USCIS allows for multiple versions to be submitted, sometimes they have preferred the older version because it benefited their client in some way. So, so that's how we do it, is we simply mark it expired. It'll say expired in cleared bold letters, but it'll still be here. And if you needed to produce that form in a newer version, you would simply come up here and call for it, and then add it to the matter. Once you open it up and identify who the contacts are, well, any information you had entered into that old form will just be pulled over to the new one, because the data follows the person. Yeah. Oh, and if you decide that you want to be using your cloud storage and archiving versions of the forms, particularly if they've gone through the review process and they're marked completed and done, and you're doing your application. If you click Save to Google Drive, they'll then appear here in the file area of the matter, and then they're very conveniently a click away. So here's an example of an addendum. Okay. Okay. Um, You're welcome. Thank you for your time, everybody. And if you have any questions, send them to Miroslav or myself. Be happy to assist.